Coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
Childbirth, pregnancy, puberty, menopause, and how you can support yourself so you continue to glow, you can continue to radiate. And it, again, doesn't mean the beauty to me, it's not necessarily wrinkle free, but it's a healthy, radiant skin, and it comes from within.
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on visibility strategies for women entrepreneurs. If you want to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice and business, you're in the right place. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marcia Spurk, and I'm your host, professional singer and visibility strategist. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode.
Looking for an inspiring read? Everyday Magic is a book that teaches mindfulness through ritual and gratitude practices that can be done every day at any age. Purchase your copy today on Amazon.
Hi, Natalya. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Martha. So happy to be with you again.
Yes. Oh, it's been so amazing getting to know you and, watching you do all the amazing things that you do and new things too, which we'll talk about. But why don't you get us started telling us who you are and what you do?
My name is Dr. Natalya Borakowski. I'm a naturopathic physician. I'm licensed and practicing in Scottsdale, Arizona. My focus always been skincare, and I've been in skincare industry for over 20 years. Starting off as a makeup artist and kind of slowly progressing into being a skin passionate advocate. I would consider myself that. My approach to skin overall, it's always been very holistic. I don't look at the skin as a separate organ. It's the largest organ in your body, but it's part of your body, and it should always be addressed as such. So in my practice, I really treat everything, mind, body, and soul, because it's all really inseparable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that so much. And from makeup artist to being a doctor, that's quite the journey. Now I want to hear more about the story behind it, where you said you've always been passionate about skin. Where did it all start? Give me some more background here.
That's sort of a little cliche story. And a lot of times when I tell it to women always laugh. But since myself, when I struggled with my own self-esteem as a teenager, I had some body dysmorphia issues. Once I kind of accepted myself for what I am, it's really helped me to realize how many doors it's opened for me and how much stronger my relationship, my connections with people have become, even connection with my own mother. Obviously, majority of teenage girls struggle with the connection with their mothers. And I have a teenage daughter myself. So look at her blossoming and transitioning through that little girl stage into a young woman she is now. It's still a fascinating journey and certainly reflects into a lot of things that I went through myself. What really helped me is to really realize when a woman feels beautiful within her own skin, she opens up to the world. And I truly believe, which some listeners probably going to laugh, that beauty saves the world. So when a woman feels beautiful, she can share her love with the rest of the world. And purpose of a woman on this planet, in my eyes, is to really teach the rest of the world how to love. And when we allow to love ourselves, not selfishly, not kind of like fake love, the polished, airbrushed love, but more so sincere, kind love that a mother would give to a child, that's when every woman can truly open up and create the strong bonds with not just her family, but with the rest of the people around her.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And especially knowing you and knowing how you have worked so hard to bring this message across. I wanted to talk a little bit about, because I know you, and I think this is such an important topic, how even though in your practice you help women with procedures and things to change the way that they look or to improve, however way you want to put it, you have a very specific way of going about it and in supporting them, and also your own personal philosophies. Tell us more about that.
In my practice, I hate the word or verb, I guess, fix. So when I have women come to my practice and they say, I want to fix something, I always trying to reflect and allow them to get that deeper understanding. There's really nothing to fix. Every stage in female body is beautiful, anywhere from a child to puberty and to adulthood and to menopause. Every stage it has own wonderful quirks, if you wish. And when the woman truly embraces every stage, and instead of trying to pretend to be someone she no longer is, such as, I don't know, 50-something-year-old woman still clinging to that 20-year-old look, it always comes across as a very stressful, forced, and unnatural. However, when she comes from that moment, when she goes into either aesthetic practitioner or dermatologist, and we teach her how to take care of her largest organ and to really stay radiant, healthy, and glowing, that's when she really transitions into every stage in the healthiest way possibly, in health-wise, such as physical health, and into mental health as well. And I think that's what's really important in my practice, because I focus a lot on the mental aspect. Although I'm not trained therapist or a psychologist, but as another woman, I really help her to understand and which stage she is now and how wonderful it is and what such a privilege is to be at that stage in her life.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I love that you said, I'm not trained therapist, but you have worked with enough women to see patterns and to hear stories and to be able to support them through that. And speaking of stories, I know you have some amazing stories because you've shared some of them with me that I feel are so helpful to illustrate the work that you do, and also for listeners, especially women out there, that may feel similarly, to kind of, prompt a reflection on how they feel about themselves. Can you share some stories?
So I'll tell you actually a fascinating story, because, I've been traveling a lot this past month. I've been really almost all the way around the globe. So I've been to Middle East, and yes, I was crazy enough to fly there only a few days after American military base was bombed and all this crazy war was happening. But I still believe, beauty saves the world, and it's my purpose to be on that wonderful conference and talk about health, skin, and all those great things. So what I learned from that conference, I was listening to a lecture of this brilliant woman. She is French, and she's not just a clinical dermatologist, she's also a researcher. So she's a microbiologist, and she does a lot of skin studies. And the most important thing, and I already knew that as a physician, but the way she presented it, I really, since I returned, I've been sharing with every single woman. So the thing she says, at what moment in your life your skin starts to age, or we start to age in general? So when I was thinking about that, of course, I start thinking as a cosmetic dermatologist, thinking, hey, probably at the age of 25, when we start to lose collagen, early wrinkles form at the age of 30, blah, blah. So I'm thinking clinically. And then she says, well, you actually start to age from the moment we're born. As soon as that baby takes the first breath, genetic makeup, genetic expression changes in that body. And as sad as it sounds, we do truly start to die from the moment we're born, which is a depressing thought, but let's set that aside for a moment. And then ask a different question. Why does baby skin, or children's skin, even teenager skin, if it's healthy, of course, doesn't have acne, but why does it look so beautiful, naturally plump, hydrated, absence of disease? And the answer is the perfect balance between DNA damage and DNA repair. So the balance is so strongly tilted towards DNA repair when we are children that our body is very forgiving. It's much easier to recover from any disease possible. And I hope all our children always stay healthy. But even if there is a disease, it's easier to save that child because the body is so resilient still. Mm-hmm. And as we get past that, mid-20s, that's when the scale starts to slowly tilt more so to DNA destruction. And that's where I come in as a naturopathic physician. And that's why when I talk to women and I say all those factors, such as manage stress, I would never say absence of stress, because yes, we live in a modern world. We are stressed about everything, traffic, husbands, children, I get it. But the way we perceive the stress, because usually only small percentage of that stress is what happened to us. The rest of it is how we dwelling on it, how we intoxicate ourselves with that stress. So essentially, when a woman takes care of herself and loves herself enough to allow process stress in a healthy way, she's already helping tilting that scale towards DNA repair, less DNA damage. And then other factors, restful sleep, right? It goes really closely to stress because if the woman stressed out of her mind, she probably has insomnia. So addressing those essential elements of life, again, it goes into skin because there's a less DNA damage. So it goes so much beyond of just getting Botox or lasers or fillers because of what you do to your body. Think about the selfless community of cells and putting it into the environment when it's easier for them to repair. And of course, we can talk about nutrition. I always tell my patients, eat the rainbow. A lot of those elements, they're so bit down and overused, and there's so many people on social media, all over internet saying that. But I think when we deliver it into for more of a scientific way, we explain why this is important. And I think that's probably would be more helpful for women to kind of pause and realize, hey, this really makes difference. Those are little elements, what you do to yourself every day, how you take a deep breath, how you pause and maybe meditate or do yoga. That's really what helps you to age in the most radiant, healthy, beautiful way, not because you going and spending thousands of dollars every day on injectables.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I love how you explain all of it. I definitely think it's helpful, to your point, to go beyond just the physical and the injection and fixing. And it's, your whole self. And that's why you said it's a holistic approach, which reminds me of, in conversations that we've had before, you talked about an interesting concept called the brain-skin connection. I feel like it would be very valuable for you to share with our listeners too. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. Well, our body communicates, all that selfless community of cell, as I say, they communicate through chemical messengers. And those messengers, what we commonly call neurotransmitters, those are messengers in the brain, things like a serotonin, dopamine, we're familiar with those molecules, but they do so much more than just giving you a happy, elated mood or making you feel relaxed. They also control your digestion. They control other spiraling hormones in your body. It's like, for example, if we're talking about our females, estrogen, progesterone are essential female hormones strongly connected to the neurotransmitters in your brain. So when there is dysregulation of hormones, and some of those are unavoidable, for example, like during the pregnancy, immediately postpartum, when during the pregnancy, progesterone is skyrocketing in order to sustain that fetus, allowing the baby to grow. And as soon as you deliver, your entire body goes to the crazy reboot system. Progesterone plummets, your oxytocin takes over, so then you can lactate. And that lack of progesterone temporarily gives deficit of dopamine, and the dopamine of that happy hormone, right? We all know you eat a piece of chocolate, you get a dopamine spike. You see a like on your Instagram post, yeah, that's a dopamine spike. It's a very addicting thing. So when you're temporarily experiencing that dopamine dump, and it's natural, often women have what we call the baby blues. So if you explain to postpartum mother, it's okay to experience that, and you just support her naturally without necessarily throwing some drugs at her system, I think it's so much easier to go through those transitions. Similar storm of emotions happen during menopause, for example. Hormones change, the female body becomes something completely different. She's no longer menstruating. And of course, chemistry in her brain will change as well. All that will, down the spiral, affect the way you digest your food. And then obviously with the food comes all the nutrition, all the wonderful molecules that feed everything in your body and result externally how you look. Knowing that process, again, it's so important to have a really good, healthy routine for yourself. Mm-hmm. I always tell my patients, it doesn't have to be prescribed wellness routine that you picked up from Instagram follower. It has to be your own. A similar way as every mother has her own routine to put her baby to sleep. Yes, you might get some ideas from already experienced mother or from, goodness sake, Instagram again, but you're still going to develop your own. And every baby, like mothers who have multiple children, they might know that what worked for older child would not work for the younger child.
Right.
Your body is no different. You have to develop that consistent routine. Usually the bedtime routine is easiest. Usually most of us will have at least 10 minutes before you go to bed. But once you have that sort of a ritual cycle, you can also implement skincare with it. It could be something as a gentle massage or gua sha, whatever that, again, works for you. I really love using contrast therapy, things like applying ice to my face. I always tell my patients, think about cold as gold, right? It increases the circulation. It also prevents your blood vessels from dilating, causing that chronic redness, rosacea, other things that happen with age. But again, ideas, there's a million ideas. And I know you and I talked about it. I'm developing a platform to sort of educate women, not to give them a recipe how to live, but give them ideas and also give them permission to take care of themselves.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about your platform. I just want to take a quick step back. Thank you for sharing all that valuable information that I hope will encourage women to reflect a little bit more about their own health, their skin health, and how they're taking care of their bodies. But I want to talk about business a little bit more, which will then lead us into you talking about your newest project, which is the platform. Tell us about, building your practice and your business, which I know is very successful and going very well. What are some of the challenges that you encountered? And then coming to a point where this is taken care of, I've developed this, and now I'm creating something a little bit different.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you like to be my next guest on the Empowered Woman podcast? Do you have a story you'd like to share? Want more visibility for your business on a show ranked in the top 0.5% in the world? Well, then head on over to martasburg.com/podcast guest for more information.
When I started my skincare practice, I actually started right into 2008 recession. So, and me back then, I was still in my 20s, so I was really oblivious. And it's the very common thing for a practitioner to not to be a good business owner. And I never was. I certainly learned a lot how to have business. And now I'm smart enough to know my limitations and to actually have other people manage my business and then do the money thing, because I'm honestly not that great with it. So also, it's very important. Number one advice I'll give to any woman that starts her own business: know your limitations. Even it doesn't matter how many classes you take, how many courses, how proficient you feel, or whatever that topic is. It's either taxes or marketing or CEO optimization of your website. You will never know enough as a specialist. So don't wear all the hats. If possible, try to allocate and be very, very lean. That's what I started with. I started with a small, tiny office. We only had 2 treatment rooms. So I was really conservative how I was spending my money. And starting practice in the beginning, especially into recession, in 2 years, we were not profitable. I burned through all my savings. And what really helped me to succeed is my passion, to truly believe that my approach to skincare will make a difference. The women do need to hear it. And slowly but surely, talking to as many people I possibly could, I finally got in the front of enough people to really get that successful business. I did get a little lucky, I would admit. So it really helped me to sort of blossom into successful business. One of the local journalists from Arizona Republic, the newspaper here in the Valley, reached out to me because she was really curious about the treatment that I was doing. And it was pre-microneedling era, pre-RF microneedling. So nobody was doing anything with the needles. And I started that first. I forgot what I was calling the treatment, doesn't matter, collagen induction, something. So she was super curious, and I am a very friendly, articulate person. So I just invited her into our clinic and I said, hey, let's just you experience the treatment and see how you love it. So we formed a really great bond. And lo and behold, my story was on Sunday paper on a second page, and our phone blew up. So that was a certainly very lucky break. I didn't ask for it. I just believed in what I was doing, and it happened.
That's amazing.
I don't know if anybody can run into that kind of a lucky situation, but if you believe in this, if you stay lean, you conserve your money, you don't blow on big fancy advertisements, because often those things don't work.
Yeah.
I think the easiest way to allocate your money in the beginning as of small practitioner is to utilize social media. It's a very inexpensive way to try to get your message in front of as many people as possible. But ultimately, just stay sincere, stay passionate, stay open. People will feel that and they will be drawn to that energy.
Yeah. Well, and the power of visibility too, of you being willing to put yourself out there, because some people are like, no, I can't. Inviting, it's all the little steps, right? That even if
Yes.
it was, somebody found you and contacted you, it wasn't that you were pursuing or whatever it may be, you still did things out of your comfort zone, to lead to the growth that you experienced. That's awesome.
That's a great point, Martha. You're absolutely right. That the growth, I tell that to my children, growth is uncomfortable.
Yep.
If you very comfortable at something, you are certainly not growing.
Yes.
So anything from, flying on the other part of the world, being on the stage and talking to a lot of people, it's uncomfortable. Even the most confident people, when they go on the stage, they speak, they perform, and trust me, they do feel butterflies. But it's all, again, within the energy. Where do you transmit the energy? If you're transmitting into the positive instead of locking yourself in and being afraid of that energy, those butterflies, then you really start to propagate yourself forward. Yeah, but the butterflies, they never go away. That's
they never
truth.
go away. There's always
a
level of fear, of discomfort, of growth, right? Because we're always
Yes.
growing. So there's always something else that we can challenge ourselves with. Speaking of, what have you been challenging yourself with a new launch? Tell us more about the platform.
So platform, I would do admit in the last month, platform kind of took a little bit of a back burner because I was busy doing a bunch of other different things. I recently had this long trip to the Middle East where I was speaking at the conference. But the platform, essentially, hopefully everything is still going to go according to plan. We will be launching it on September 1st. It's an educational platform, but it's not just a typical online course. We want to help women to address 3 different elements of aging. So we will talk about the mental aspect and their relationship with the self-image. Again, we're not psychologists, although I have a lot of psychologists and therapists who join me in this course, and they do some guest statements there, guest topics, but ultimately it's just message from one woman to another, sharing our stories. How do we deal with the everyday struggle when you sometimes don't feel attractive? Sometimes you feel very critical. So that's sort of a healing, emotionally healing course. That's the first thing we do. The second, we want to really open up doors and invite our clients to truly understand and experience every aesthetic and plastic surgery treatment available, at least in this country. And we're not trying to sell anything. We just want to give truthful information without fake Google pitch, without, fake promises, to really help a woman to make an educated decision and ask that deep question. Why am I doing this? If I decided to do Botox, what is my end goal? What do I understand about these procedures? The pros and cons, and how also I can support my body if I choose to do this treatment. Mm-hmm. And then the third course, that's where I come in as a naturopathic doctor, and that's my bread and butter. And I talk about biology of aging, anything starting from puberty and all the way past menopause. What happens to our body? How can we sustain that body and stay healthy? What other problems, essentially, or concerns might arise as you go through those different transitions, childbirth, pregnancy, puberty, menopause, and how you can support yourself so you continue to glow, you can continue to radiate. And it, again, doesn't mean the beauty, to me, it's not necessarily wrinkle-free, but it's a healthy, radiant skin, and it comes from within.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's such an amazing project. I'm so excited for this launch. And before I ask you how people can connect with you and find more information about your practice in case they're local, but also the platform, I like asking all of my guests my $1 million question. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, Dr. Natalya, what is an empowered woman to you?
Empowered woman, it's the woman who understands her limitations. It's the woman who has courage, but it doesn't mean that she has absence of fear. The woman who understands that some days she's not going to be 100%, but she loves herself enough to take a step back and pause. It's the woman who is not afraid to fail, who understands the journey into whatever direction you're going in life. It's never linear. It is bumpy, but you allow yourself to go through that journey anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good. I love that so much. Love the disclaimers. She has fear. The journey has its ups and downs, but she remains, focused on her passions, like what you were saying about building her business, right? I always say my guests, when they describe the empowered woman, they're describing themselves. So I suspect that's what you just did.
Yes, absolutely. I always want to tell my patients, what you think you see from outside in, that sort of a perfect, glamorous vision of successful woman, that is made up, full of makeup kind of image. But ultimately, every woman is vulnerable. We are not without blemishes. Yeah. And we have our fears and limitations. And I would admit, as much as I love going to different countries and speaking on the stage, I go sometimes, excuse my French, peeing my pants doing it. And I go anyway, just because I believe in my message. And I always go from the point, who can I help by doing that? And if I'm scared to go, I get it. It's my body just telling me, you are on the path of unknown. Unknown is scary. Yeah. But as I'm going to that dark tunnel, I know there's a light at the end. So I'm just going towards the light.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And also thinking, who is going to benefit from me facing this fear, right? Especially with this amazing message of yours. All right. So how can people connect with you? Tell us more specifically about the practice. How can they find information about the practice if they're local, and also the platform?
So the platform is the one that has the most information. That's probably going to be the richest source for women who want to learn a little bit more about myself, the philosophy, understand aesthetic medicine and themselves more. It is still in development stages, but probably by the time it goes live, it will be very close to be launched. Mm-hmm. So currently we're just accepting waitlist, and there are benefits of being in waitlist because prior to launch, we're also going to do beta testing. So if you want to be one of the early people accepted into beta testing and kind of see insides and outs of the platform, so put yourself on a wait list. We also give a lot of free PDFs that help women to also answer some questions or start thinking in the direction of like, oh, what I don't know. What do I need to learn more? So go on the website, unveilyou.life. Put yourself on the wait list now, and the platform will be live in September. I am on social media, so my personal account, Natalya Borakowski, it's the most popular one, the oldest one. The most post on my personal account, it's about my travel. It's more so about me. So again, for the purpose of your own benefit and education, I would encourage you to go to unveilyou.life Instagram, because that's where we have resources. There are a lot of great posts, and my social media gurus putting a lot of effort of putting wonderful information out there, video guides, skincare guides. So certainly check it out. We would love for you to follow us, because when you do this account, it's still very small. We just started to grow. And when you follow, Instagram algorithm, the more followers, commenters, likes we have, the more people will actually see this message. And I sincerely believe there are a lot of people who need to hear that.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. We'll make sure and put all of those links and the accounts information in the show notes, so people can go and take advantage of all the information you've been putting out there. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was so good. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
Great to see you, Martha. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends, or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.